Kalkadosh, good evening. We are continuing on. This is going to be Daf He. This is Masechet Shekalim Daf He Amud Aleph. We're starting from the Mishnah and a new Perek. The Mishnah and new Perek says over here like this, Mitzarfim Shekalim L'Darkonot, which means when we have people that they are going to be gathering together with the Shekalim and they want to send it to the Bet HaMikdash. So it says over here, they are permitted to actually come and take these Darkonot, which are basically golden coins, right, which are going to come out in the proper time, mipnei masoya derech, in order to alleviate, right, the difficulties of traveling, which means it was very difficult to travel, and therefore they were able to do so. Keshem shayu shofarot b'mikdash, just like there were special places in the Mikdash that looked like a shofar, that's why it was called shofarot. They were like different boxes, okay? Rechavo milamata, so it says here they were actually very wide on the bottom. And they used to go, right? It looked like a shofar, just like where they actually keep the shofar. So it says, Kacha yu shofarot b'medina. So too there were shofarot also in the Medina, because that's where they actually used to come and they used to keep the money. Okay? The next part says, Bnei ha'ir sheshalchu et shiklehen v'nignevu o she'avdu. When you have people of the city, where what happened was that they sent their shlichim in order to send their shekalim, and it was stolen or lost on the derech, on the path. If they already separated in the Bet HaMikdash, Trumat Lishka, before it was stolen or was lost, so then the people of the city, they are going to be turim in order to give the second ones, basically the transfer over on the other ones. They do not, that means basically, let's say they're not chayav b'achriyut, they're not obligated in the redeeming it, okay, in the security. Then it says here, but nishbain lagizbanim, they still have to swear to the gizbanim. Why do they have to swear to the gizbarim? Because at the end of the day, people could very easily come and say, yeah, it was stolen, it was lost, it was the whoever it was, and there was nothing, right? Lahadam, lo hayu dvarim me'olam. So since there was nothing there, so therefore they had to swear that be'emet it was actually lost or going to be stolen, okay? Vim lav. Now, if it was going to be stolen or lost, right, before the Trumat Lishka, right, which means, so then what happens is, nishbain ibnei, so then the shluchim, they are going to be nishbain ibnei ha'id, right? Uvnei shoklin tachtehen, and then they have to actually give other types of a trumat of the truma of the Masechet shekel in its place, because basically the first ones were not yitzei chova, which means they weren't fulfilling their obligation in the first ones, right? Because it didn't come into the reshut of hekdesh yet, it still didn't become hekdesh. Okay, fine. Then we said in the Mishnah. So the Gemara now comes and now the Mishnah comes and says, what happens if after they already lost it, now all of a sudden they found it, or the ganavim, the thieves came and they returned it. The thieves, they stole money and then they realized that they feel bad about it. So what do they want to do? Elu va'elu shekalim. So now both of them become shekalim. Okay, so now what happens is, right, both of them become the shekalim, right? Ve'en olin lahen l'shana haba. And it's not going to be counted as the next year. Meaning they can't say, you know what, listen, since we gave twice, so now it should be this year or next year. It doesn't count. Yeah, it doesn't count 2 for 1, right? It doesn't count. Fine. You understood what I said? It doesn't count 2 for 1. The Gemara now comes and says on Amud Aleph, we're starting the Gemara. The Gemara says, Yasu otan margaliot. So the Gemara is going to ask, 1 second, what did we just learn? We just learned that the Bnei Ha'id, the people of the city, that they are going to get all the shkalim together. They are allowed to switch them with darkonot, which are other types, which is basically golden coins, right? In order that they don't have to carry so much coins. Imagine carrying pennies, right? Somebody just told me that there was somebody that he asked for his last paycheck. So what did they come? They came and they gave him a whole truckload or whatever it is, full of pennies, right? They wanted to give him a little bit of they wanted to poke fun at him. So what do they do? Instead of giving a check, here it is, thousands of pennies, here's your paycheck. So same thing, imagine the Masechet shekel, right? Of pennies. Okay, so you see, even until today, in pennies. So, okay, so you see that even until today it happens. So what happens? Here, imagine right now, you're going to have to take all this to the Bet HaMikdash. People are going to go crazy. So what they were allowed to do? To switch it with the darkonot. The darkonot were the golden coins, okay? So it says the Gemara, 1 second, if you're already using golden coins, yasu tamargaliot. If you already use jewels, diamonds, what's more expensive, a jewel, a diamond, or a gold? I use something a much higher value. They go with a little tiny thing in your pocket. They travel from Miami to Eretz Israel, to the Bet HaMikdash, and that's it. Why are you going to come and use darkono, which are golden coins? Use precious jewels. So says the Gemara, no. Shema tazila margaliot v'nimtza ekdesh mafsid. He says, no, you know why? Jewels and diamonds, things like that, they go down in value. Right? Since they go down in value, all of a sudden what's going to happen? The ekdesh is going to lose out. We don't want the ekdesh to lose out. So therefore, the other one does not go down in value. So therefore, that is going to be a golden coin is a golden coin. Yeah, but the margaliot, they go down in value. They'll go, these things, they go down in value. Kaid, tanin, and taman, just like we learned over there, there's a Mishnah Bechorot. The kulan, which are all the things which are going to be redeemed. So for example, we're talking about whether it's a Bechor Adam. Remember, you have to do Pidyon Ben. Pidyon Ben, a firstborn. Well, we just finished in Psachim, yeah? The firstborn is born. You have to give Chamisha Shekalim. You have to give 5 Shekalim. Or Shaveh Kesef, something which has to be Shaveh, that amount, the same value of that amount. So, for example, you have Pidyon Ben. Niftin Bekesef uv Shaveh Kesef. It can be redeemed with Kesef or Shaveh Kesef. Okay? Which one? It's not the Kohen can keep it. The Kohen is supposed to keep it. If he wants to give it back to you, that's something else. You understand? If he wants to give it to you, but you should never expect it. Do you know that it happened here in this Bet HaKnesset, where the Kohen, he gave it to the Kohen, he gave it to the Kohen, and then the Kohen, he wanted to do like the Syrians. He started auctioning it off. The coins, every coin, he started auctioning off. So what happened? He auctioned the first one, second one, third one, fourth one. Now nobody knew about this, but the Avia Ben, right? He borrowed it from the Mohel. So he was going to pay it back to the Mohel. So after everything was done and all the money was going to the Bet HaKnesset. When they finished everything, right? What happened is that all of a sudden it comes and he took everything back. And we're all like, what's going on? No. He had to give it back to the Mohel. It doesn't work. You know that. He would have to redeem his son again. Because that means that he didn't actually redeem his son. It went to the Kohen. The Kohen now sold it. It doesn't go to the Avia Ben. The Avia Ben, he lost out. The Avia Ben now has to go buy new coins and give it back to the Moel. But that money is already gone. You understand? If there was a minhag that the Kohen would come or whatever, but first of all, it's not a minhag by everywhere. Other people, they say b'chavana that they didn't want them to do it back. It's a way to show that it's a real sale and they're keeping it. You understand? But it's a big problem because people think, yeah, he's giving it back. Don't expect it back. You understand? So that's very important. So it says here, nivdin bekesef u'shaveh kesef. It's going to be redeemed with kesef and shaveh kesef. Chutz mi shekalim, except for the shekalim, which a person is obligated to give every single year to the Bet HaMikdash. Ve'en podim bekelim. Now you also cannot pay with, he says, ve'en podim bekelim. What's the reasoning why you cannot pay the machatzit shekel with a kli, with a utensil? He says, ve'amar Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak, says Shmuel bar Yitzchak, shem yazilu akelim, and he said the same yisod, which means you see from here, I cannot use a utensil to use for machatzit shekel. Why can't I use a utensil? Just like by the Pidyon Ben, I could give shekel or shaveh kesef, kesef or shaveh kesef. Shaveh kesef means something that has a value of money. So therefore, I should do the same thing with shekalim. No. Why not? Because he says, because the kelim, they could go down in value. And then again, the ekdesh is going to be lost. Ufachanami, so too here, the exact same thing. So therefore, we're bringing a proof that just like over there, you cannot redeem with a keli, with a utensil, because the utensil will go down in value, and then the ekdesh is losing out. You cannot redeem it with jewels or things like that, and then let the carriers come and, the UPS or whatever it is, the FedEx, come and bring it to Eretz Israel. Why? Because maybe it's going to go down in value, and then the ekdesh is going to be losing out money. Okay? Matnita betiklin chatin. Our Mishnah, the Mishnah was talking about the shofarot. The shofarot were like tevot, which are made like a shofar, which that's where they used to put the machatzit shekel. Okay, so now it says over here like this. Matnitin betiklin chatin. Our Mishnah is talking about the shofarot, right? We're only talking about shofarim, which they used to put the new shekalim inside of them. Aval betiklin atikim. But when we're talking about old shekalim, meaning the shekalim of the previous year, right? He says lo beda. They don't have this din, which means that they don't put these in the shofarot of tiklin in the Medina, and whoever was obligated to pay back the shekel of last year, he had to actually come and give it in a special shofar, meaning in a special type of a pouch, right? That it couldn't be in the new ones. Meaning in these shofarot, right? Which is basically think about how the shofar is. It looks like this and then goes upwards, right? So the same thing. It was like a bag like this, and then it was very skinny on the top. Okay, so now these type of shofarot where they used to keep the coins inside, what happened was they could only use it for the new shekalim. Anyone that was obligated to give the machatzit shekel from last year, he had to give it in a special designated one. He couldn't give it in the same one as the usual ones of the new ones. Okay, so v'tani ken atikin b'migdash v'en atikin b'medina. And we also learned that the shofarot for paying back the old shekalim were only in the Bet HaMikdash, but they wouldn't put it back outside of Yerushalayim, which means if you had to pay back, right, which means that you didn't give the shekel from last year, you have to pay it back. But there was no collection points outside of Yerushalayim. The collection points were only in Yerushalayim, were only going to be inside of Yerushalayim. So inside Yerushalayim, you're able to find these, type of shofarot or special ones in order to pay back from last year, but not outside of Yerushalayim. Okay? Next, then we spoke about in the Mishnah where it says, right? And they sent it to a shaliach. So imagine right now we're bringing everybody, and we're going to send with a shaliach to go to the Bet HaMikdash with our coins, with our Masechet Shekel. So says the Gemara, matnita b'shomer chinam. Obviously, our Mishnah is talking about a shaliach that he's doing it for free, right? He's the shomer chinam. He's a not paid custodian. He's a not paid watchman. He says, aval b'shomer sachar, but if we're talking about a paid custodian, which means the person is getting paid for watching over it, la bedas. So then it's not in this deed. Why? Because a shomer sachar, a person that is getting paid to watch over something, he has to pay for the geneva, which means that if something right now gets lost or stolen, he has to pay for it. So let's say right now, right, everyone's making me the shaliach, and I'm going to Eretz Yisrael, and I'm taking on behalf of everybody the Masechet Shekel. On the way, chas v'shalom, lost or stolen. So now 1 second. If right now I'm a shomer sachar, which means that you are paying me to do so then what is the entire question? I have to pay it back. So there's no question. I have to come. How much money did I have? $10,000. Here it is, $10,000. I have to pay it back. Obviously, the Mishnah was talking about that. I'm doing it to you as a favor. Since I'm doing it as a favor, that's why I don't have to pay it back. If I don't have to pay it back, now we have to deal with, are they obligated to give it again or not? So says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Abba, says Rabbi Abba, afilu teimar b'shomer sachar. Really, be'emet, no. According to Rabbi Abba, even if we're talking about a shomer sachar, which means a paid custodian, nignevu b'listim mezuyan or avdu b'mi shetavas finato bayam. Really, be'emet, it could be a case where it was stolen with an armed robbery, which means not just stam, right? That they just was stolen. It was listim mezuyan, which means it was mamash. They were very heavily armed, right? Or it was lost with mamash at the sea, right? It sunk in the sea. For example, you had the entire boat or whatever it was, it sunk in the sea. So therefore, and he wasn't able to save it. So in such a thing, even a shomer sachar is patur because that's called an ones. It's like force majeure. Force majeure, a shomer sachar, a paid custodian is not obligated. If it was just stama robbery, meaning that he left it out in the open and somebody came and they stole it, or he lost it, so that he's obligated. What? That's more, it's true, it's like a negligence, but when it's going to be honest means mamash, it's against your will, it's force majeure. It wasn't just stam that it happened to be stolen, I left the keys in the car, and then no. It was mamash that they came with weapons and everything, or the ship sank. So then, even then, the shomer sachar is going to be patur. So therefore, the Abba argues and he says that we could even be talking about a shomer sachar, a paid custodian, and he's still going to be exempt. Amar Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Simon, says Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Simon, Atyan kemanda amar tormin ala gavui ve'ala atid ligvot. So he says like this: our Mishnah is going according to the Tana that he holds that the Gizbarim, which are the ones in charge of the Bedek Abai, the ones that are in charge of Bet HaMikdash, they are going to be tormim the tumat alishka. They will be able to be tormim ala gavui ve'alatil ligvot, which means they were able to start coming and putting up the money for that which was going to be collected and that which was going to be in the future collected. Which means I already know that from Miami is going to come, let's say $10,000. I find out how much money more or less is going to come. I already know it's a minimum of 10,000. So therefore, they could actually come and start doing their services, and they could start actually counting towards that. I already know that even in the future, what's coming, even though it's not in my hands yet, I could already count that in. Right? That's what we're saying here. Kemanda amar tormim ala gavui, on something which was already collected, valatil ligvot, and something which is going to be in the future also collected. And therefore, we are going to be done the shekalim already that it's keilu, that it's already in their hands. And therefore, if the gizbar, which is like the gabai, right? If the gabai is the one that's in charge of the collections and everything in Eretz Yisrael, so if he already went and he did this, so it's considered that he already got it in his hands. So therefore, it was lost or stolen. At that time, they're already exempt because it already got into their hands of the hekdesh keilu. And now, if it got lost or stolen, it's not theirs anymore. They already gave it. Okay? Beram kemanda amar. However, according to the manda amar that says, en tormim lo ala gavui velo atil ligavot, that you cannot come and start doing this, which means the gizbar does not have the right to do such a thing. La beda, so it doesn't work. Okay? So, okay, that's what the Gemara says. So obviously this Mishnah has to be going according to this opinion, where obviously you could collect upon that which was already donated and that which is going to be in the future donated. Then the next part of the Mishnah said, we're talking about the people of the city that they went and they sent their shekalim and they got lost or stolen. So now it says the Gemara like this. Amar Rabbi Lazar says Rabbi Lazar. And now we got Elazar. Before it was always Rabbi Lazar. Yeah, now it's Elazar. Rabbi Shimon. So says the Gemara, our Mishnah is going in accordance to Rabbi Shimon. Why? Rabbi Shimon says, Kadashim shu chaya b'chriyutan, right? That means any time when a person is talking about Kodashim, which basically you are obligated in the security. So for example, if you come and you say Hare alay olah, so it's like a neder or nedava, right? So we said what's a neder? A neder is alay, right? Nedava is on this. So if you're going to say it's on me, right? So I'm obligated. So if it's lost and stolen, I still have to bring it because it's on me. It's not on the object. If it's a nedava, if it's going to be a present, it's on it. It's not on me. So if this gets lost or stolen, I'm not obligated to give it back. That's the difference between a neder and a nedava. So a neder, it's a lie. It's on me. I'm obligated. It's like a chovat guf. It's on the body, right? Which one? Like an insurance. So you're obligated in the like an insurance, like a guarantee to give it back. So therefore, it comes out that according to Shirat Rabbi Shimon, kadashim that you're obligated in achrayut, and it gets lost or stolen. So he says, him, they are just exactly like the nechasim of the ekdesh. That if right now you went and you put them in the hand of a shomer and it got lost, right? You're obligated to make a shivua to the shomrim on the ekdesh. You're obligated to make a vow, right? The same thing with the shekalim, even though they belong to ekdesh. Since at the end of the day the owners are obligated in the guarantee, so therefore what happens is you have to do shvuat shomrim. You have to make a vow. You have to make an oath that you did not actually, that it actually did get lost and stolen, and that you're not playing games. Okay, so that's what he says here. So it's obviously going according to the shita of Rabbi Shimon. Says Rabbi Yochanan, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says, why do you have to say that it's going only in according to Rabbi Shimon, that he says it's like nechasav? He says it's not true. Divrei koli, really, be'emet, our Mishnah is going according to all the opinions. Why? Mishum shivua takana. Here, even the Tanakama that argues on Rabbi Shimon, he says that here you also make them swear. But why? He says the rabbis instituted it, they obligated in shivua in order not to be mizalzel in the shmirah. Which means a lot of people would come and they say, okay, fine, you know what, I'm doing a favor to the Bet HaMikdash. But okay, big deal, gets lost, stolen, no big deal. At the end of the day, it's already considered that they got it. So therefore, they would just come and they would be a little bit lazy, right? They would be disgraceful in the taking care of it. So therefore, he says, in order not to do that, you have to swear. Remember, in the olden days, swearing was the last thing, right? The meaning that people would pay thousands of dollars in order not to make a vow in Bedin, even though they were correct and they could have done it, but they didn't want to make a vow, in a sense. So the swear was mamash, it was very powerful deterrent that people did not want to make. Yes, it was very sacred in the olden days. Nowadays, the words have become very, useless. Al dateh de Rabbi Yochanan. So says the Gemara is now going to ask on Rabbi Lazar, and it says like this: Al dateh de Rabbi Yochanan nicha. The dat, meaning according to the explanation of Yochanan, is going to be good. Nishvaim lagizbarim. Why? Because then we just said that you're going to swear to the gizbarim. V'im lav, and if it was stolen or lost before the truma the lishka, so then nishvaim livnei, so then they have to swear, which means like this: either way, they have to swear. These shlichim, these messengers, the UPS, we're going to call them, right, or the DHL, whatever you want to call it nowadays, they have to swear to someone. They're either swearing to the gizbar, which is basically the parnas of the Bet HaMikdash, or they're going to swear to the people of the city, the ones that sent them. Either or. And then the people of the city are going to have to come, and 5b, they're going to have to come, and they're going to have to take other ones. Mishum shivua takana, because of shivua takana, which means I understand that you always have to make a vow. It makes sense. So that's Rabbi Yochanan, which means you have to make a vow. So it's according to everybody, whether according to Rabbi Shimon or the Tanakama that argues with Rabbi Shimon, you always have to make a vow. Why? In order that they shouldn't be mizalzel, they shouldn't disgrace watching over these things, you always have to make a vow. But according to Rabbi Lazar, now we went back to Lazar, not Elazar, right? According to Rabbi Lazar, nishbaim livnei ha'ir, had ahid Rabbi Shimon. He says, one second, if they're going to come now and make a vow to the people of the city, so then that's going according to Rabbi Shimon. Nishbaim la gizbarim. But one second. According to them, why do they have to come and make now a swear, a vow to the gizbarim? At the end of the day, they only have to make a shaliach, a shivua to the shaliach, but they don't make a shivua for the ekdesh. Which means if you're going to go in accordance to Rabbi Yochanan, that the shivua is because of a takana, special institution that we didn't want you to disgrace, so it makes sense. You make a vow no matter what, either to the people of the city or to the gizbar, right, to the gabai of the Bet HaMikdash. But if you're going to tell me that it's only because of the reasoning that it becomes like their properties, so then why are you going to make it to the gizbar, right? It should be to the people of the city only, and not to the gizbar. So says the Gemara, Nishbaim livnei Ayid b'ma'amad hagizbarim. So says the Gemara, no, maybe you could actually say that really you're never making it to the Gizbar. You're swearing always to the Bnei Ayid, according to the Rabbi Elazar, but it's b'ma'amad hagizbarim. It's in the presence of the Gizbarim, of the Parnas. In order not to suspect them of stealing the money. Or inami, or if not, in order that they shouldn't start suspecting that they did pshia, like the negligence that you said before, and therefore they didn't actually wash it properly. So therefore they wanted everyone present there. Why? Because you know how it is. Everyone throws the ball to somebody else. I'm going to come and you're going to say, what happened to it? No, I did it properly, but it was him. You go to him, no, I did it properly, but it was him. You continue going. And then no. Everyone's present. We are Bnei Ayid, we're the people of the city. He's the shaliach, he's the gizbar. Each one, he's making the shliach has to make the vow, but in front of the gizbar. So that way everyone sees what's going on. We don't think that there's any negligence. We don't see anything else is happening also as well. And even though the Bnei Ayid accepted upon themselves that now the people of the city accepted that they're going to pay, still they have to swear, right? Which means the shomer is not going to come to be exempt, right? Without shavua, which means even if at the end they come and they say, you know what, kapara, I got stolen, we're going to pay it again. No. He still has to make a vow. Yeah, he has to make a vow where everything would happen. Okay. Next, the Gemara said, what happens if they consecrated the shekel and then it got lost? And this is again before the trumat lishka. So Rabbi Yochanan says, you're obligated to actually come and pay it back until it goes to the hands of the gizbar, the gabay of the Bet HaMikdash. Okay, and then you have another one. Rabbi Shimon Lakish comes and he says, Hekdesh v'yeshut gavoa b'chol makom. He says, no, a chefetz of Hekdesh, wherever it is, it already belongs to the Hekdesh. And therefore, it comes out that you already paid it. So if you already paid it, even though it didn't actually get to the hands of the gizbar, the fact that you already gave it to Hekdesh, and then the Hekdesh already belongs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, doesn't matter where it is. It already belongs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And therefore, you don't have to pay it back. So the Gemara is now going to ask on Rosh Hashanah, obviously, our Mishnah is against Rabbi Shimon Lakish. Why? Because we just said that Nishbaim livnei Ayid, shoktin tachteim. We just said that they have to swear to the people of the city. But then, if they now swore that there was really behemet lost and stolen, what happens? The people of the city have to pay it back. Why do they have to pay it back? If it was already considered that it got to the hands of the gizbar, right? Even though it wasn't physically in a sense, but it's already considered because it's bishut gavoa, is bechol makom. It's everywhere. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has there's a shoot everywhere. So why do they have to pay it back? Lo, so answers the Gemara, lo odhi, right? Really, behemet, you can't say that mishum takana, which means that we also have to say mitzad adin, right? Behemet, you're not obligated to pay back. But the Chachamim came and they obligated you, right? They came and they obligated you to come and to give an extra shekel in order to be much more careful, which means even though mitzad adin you would have been exempt, we wanted purposely to do this in order for you to be extra careful. Okay? So therefore, what we were saying is that really mitzad adin, according to Resh Lakish, they were not obligated in giving the extra shekel, but there was an extra takana chachamim that according to Resh Lakish that they made that they were still obligated to give a new machdita shekel in order that they shouldn't be mizalzel, they shouldn't disgrace in watching over it the next time around. Tani, we learned in a braita, harishonim noflim letiklin chatin, vashniim noflim titklin atikin, which means like this: the shkalim harishonim, which are the first ones, they are going to go to the new ones. The second ones, right? These are the ones that are going to be found now. So what's going to happen is the second ones are going to go to the kuppah of the last year ones, which means, remember, what happened is that you separated and you sent it with a shaliach. It got lost and stolen. And then afterwards, they went and they separated new ones. And then they found the previous ones. So now you have two of them. So he says over here, the Rishonim, the first ones, they go into the new ones. And the second ones that you separated, they go to the old ones, the last year ones. But says the Gemara, 1 second. Which ones are you calling the first ones? Which are you calling the second ones? Are you calling the first ones that you gave? Or are you calling one the first one that you found now? So what's going on? So says the Gemara, Rabbi Pinchas, Rabbi Chia, Rabbi Abba Bareh, Chadamar, one of them came and they said, Elu sheshalchu b'nei Ayid tchila, the first ones that they actually sent, right? So those ones are going into the new ones to buy the korbanot, even though they're the second ones that you found, right? But they're the first ones that they separated. V'char Na'amar, and the other one said, right? Elu shegiu l'dei gizbarim tchila. No, the first ones that received by the gizbarim. So basically, are we looking towards the receiver or the giver? The giver, he gave number 1 and then he gave number 2. But the receiver, he received number 2 and then he received number 1. So which ones are we going? What is called number 1? What is called number 2? The machloket between the Amonaim over there. Halacha bet. Hanoten shiklo lechavero lishkol al yado ushkalo al yidei atzmo. So imagine right now, you give the Masechet Shekel to your friend to give on your behalf. Okay? And then what happened was the Shliach changed, right? Ushkalo al yedei atzmo, and he gave it for himself. So imagine, I give you the Masechet Shekel, and I say, Simon, you do it for me. Say, no problem. You come and you give it for yourself, not for me. Yeah? Not bad, no? You give it for yourself, not for me. So what happened? If they already went and they separated the lishka, which means they already went and they separated it, right? And then you went and you gave it for yourself instead of for me, it's mal behekdesh. You were doing me'ilah. Me'ilah means that you benefit from something which is already ekdesh. Okay? So that's called me'ilah, ma'al. Okay, next. Hashokel shiklo mina ekdesh. If you're going to come and you're going to take your shekel from the ekdesh, which means that you had money which was already consecrated to the Bedek Abayit, right, in your hand. And then what happened was you went and you took the shekel. So v'nitrema truma v'kerva habehema. And then afterwards they went, right, and he says, nitrema truma v'kerva behema. So they went and they already give the truma from they already bought a new animal, okay, which means they actually brought one of the animals as a korban. Again, ma'al. Again, it's going to be me'ilah in the shokel as well, which means the fact that he gave the shekel to the shulchani, to the money changer, because of the chol of the Masechet shekel, that's already considered me'ilah until they actually give the truma to the lishka, and they actually start bringing the korbanot to the tzibur. Remember that the money of Masechet shekel used to be for the korbanot tzibur, for the communal sacrifices. Okay, a third way also, if you're going to come and you're going to take your shekel mima'aseh sheni, from money that you went and you used it for ma'aseh sheni. Remember that in years 1, 2, 4, 5, right, the second 10%, the first 10% is ma'aseh, or after Truma Gdola, that goes to the Kohen, right? You give 10%, that goes to the Levi. The Levi gives 10%, that goes to the Kohen. So that's Trumat Ma'aser, Ma'aser Mina Ma'aser. But then you have to give another 10%. So in 1, 2, 4, 5, you give Ma'aser Sheni, right? 3, 6, you give Ma'aser Ani. So in 1, 2, 4, 5, you're going to come and you're going to benefit, right? What you do is you take all the fruits and you take it up to Eretz Yisrael and you're going to eat it inside of Eretz Yisrael. If you do not want to eat it in Eretz Yisrael, you redeem it for the money, you add a fifth, then you take up the money to Eretz Yisrael with the extra fifth, and then you're going to eat it inside of Yerushalayim. So imagine right now you took money of Masechet Sheni, umidemeshevit, or money from, right, the different things that you redeemed from Shemitah, that you sold, and you had the money, which the money is Kiddushat Shvit, which means it's the Shemitah year, which you're not allowed to benefit from. Yochal kenegdan, so then you're allowed to eat other fruits, right, with the value of the Masechet Shekel, B'Kedushat Masechet Sheni, or B'Kedushat Shvit as well. Okay, fine. Why? Because it already had this Kiddusha of the Masechet Sheni, right, or the Meshevit. Fine. Says the Gemara. Hashokel, we're talking about that if you right now came and I gave you the money and then you used it for yourself instead of using it for me, so it was mi'ilah. So says the Gemara, we already learned in the Mishnah, im karva bema, if they already brought the animal, which means if they brought the animal, so then the shokel is not moel, right? There's no mi'ilah, only if they already brought the korban from the Trumat Lishka, but not beforehand. Meaning if it was done beforehand, it was not mi'ilah, it's only from then onwards. If they already brought the Trumat Lishka, so it's already considered kilu that I gave it. So if it's already considered that I gave it, and now instead of giving it for that purpose, you gave it on your own behalf, that was mi'ilah. So says the Gemara, the Tana de Rebbe, and we learned in the academy on the Bet of Midrash of Rebbe, in the truma, if it was already given the truma, but they didn't bring the korban yet, okay, we skip out the brackets. Okay, so therefore that means according to this shita, it's even if it wasn't brought the korban, because the first one said karva bema, they brought the animal as a korban. The Tana de Rebbe taught no, even if it was nitrama truma, but they still didn't bring the korban, it's the same halacha. Okay, we skip the brackets. Next, says the Gemara, man tana im nitruma truma. Who is the Tana Dver Rebbe that says im nitruma truma, even though they didn't bring the korban, it's the same halacha. That means as long as they already gave the truma, but they didn't bring the korban. And so the Gemara, Rabbi Shimon, it's Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon, it says Rabbi Shimon, miyad haya mekabel ma'otav, right? The one that's selling the korbanot for the gizberei ekdesh, for example, you know, the fine flour for the menachot, or the wine for the wine libations, right, or the animals and all these things. So he used to be zoche with the money, right, from the ekdesh. The kohanim zizim, the kohanim are very, very quick. Okay, so therefore, since they're very, very quick to make sure that nothing's going to happen, the second that it came out, right, immediately it becomes mi'ilah. Okay, so says the Gemara, v'kashia, so we have a question. Ilu agonev olato shel chavero shchato stam. Stam alo l'shem ha'ba'alim mechaperet. Are you going to tell me now that imagine right now I have a burnt offering, a korban olah. Okay, I steal the korban olah of my friend. Now I went and I slaughtered it stam. Stam means I didn't have kavanah. I didn't have any intention on who it was going to be minatzeh. But remember, the chatat is a sin offering, is for a certain sin that we did. Anolah is usually whether it's going to be on positive commandments or on other things. So here, I didn't have any thought process whatsoever. I just went and I slaughtered it. So now he says, Lo l'shem ba'alim v'nishunim mechaper. Are you going to tell me that it's still going to be mechaper? At the end of the day, right? It says for sure. Why? Just like the gizbar is going to be torem lishka stam, it should help for whoever it is, right? Not for the one that he stole it, but rather for the other one. So therefore, if he didn't change anything, which means like this, I come and I give you the machzit shekel. You went and you changed it, right? Even though you changed it, at the end of the day, if it was mine and I gave it to you, it should be for me, not for you. So therefore, just like by the korban olah, if somebody steals my korban olah and they bring it, it's still going to be good for me. So the same thing here. So Amar Rabbi Yudan says Rabbi Yudan, tiftor b'mesuyam. Says no, really be'emet the shekel that he gave to the shliach was nikar between all the other, meaning it was a special coin. So since it was a special coin, that's why we say, right, Mishel Beter Gamliel shaya mitkaven v'dochafo letoch hakupah. Just like the ones of Beter Gamliel, they used to come and they used to be mitkaven to put the shekel inside the kupah with the tumat lishka, right? But that's what they used to do. So they used to come to the lishka during the time when the gizbar was there, and then they used to put it on top of it, keregdos. So therefore, he used to come and he used to know exactly which one was theirs, and he knew exactly which coin that it was. So since it was that coin, so therefore there was going to be the problem. So it says, says 1 second, maybe it could be that they're going to go in the shirei lishka. Is there going to be milah, which is again benefiting from kochim in shiraim in the leftovers? But rather has to be going like Rabbi Meir. The Rabbi Meir, because Rabbi Meir says mualim b'shiraim. There is a din of milah in shiraim, and even though he's a dat yachid, which means even though he's an individual that holds like that, this is his shita. Od hi b'mesuyam, right? But rather, right, it's muchach shel bet Rav Gamliel shaya mitkaven v'tormo lishmo. Really, be'emet, it was actually known that it fell into the kupah and it wasn't in the shiraim. And therefore, that's why the shaliach was going to be chayav, because he went and used it for himself instead of using it for his masters, and therefore it was going to be a problem. Okay, Manena says the Gemara, what hana'ah do you have? At the end of the day, why is it considered milah? Milah means you're benefiting from coaching. Why are you benefiting from coaching? So Amar Rabbi Avin Mishem Rabbanan de Taman says Rabbi Avin in the name of Rabbanan de Taman, Mikevan shebetin ruyin lemashken velo mishkenu kemo shenena. You're benefiting. Why? You right now came and you gave the machzit shekel on your own behalf. They were supposed to come and start to ask you for securities. Simon, you didn't pay your machzit shekel. Give me your wallet. Give me your watch. Until you don't pay, give me your watch. But now you gave it. So now, even though you gave it for me, right, but you gave it on your own behalf. So therefore, what happens is they're not going to ask you for anything. They're going to leave you alone because they think that you already gave it. They don't know. That's already benefiting. So therefore, that's the benefiting of the Bet HaMikdash. So Amar Rabbi Avim Mishem Rabbanan, right? He says the Kemo Shenena. Fine, 2 dots. In Masechet Sheni, we're talking about from the money of Masechet Sheni. It's written, Ach bechor asher yivukal LaHashem bivema, lo yagdish ish oto, im shol yimseh LaHashem hu. So we learn from here, kol shu kodesh en kedusha chalalav, which means the second that something is already holy, another type of a holiness is not going to fall on it. And even ma'ot Masechet Sheni, even money of Masechet Sheni, which has kedusha, and it's not kedushat of the shekel kodesh, so therefore the kedusha of shekel kodesh is not going to be chal on Masechet Sheni. So if so, okay, so what are you going to do then? Right? Why? Because you have the shofar, right, which you have money of Masechet Sheni, right, which is going to be inside with the shekels. How are you going to be Yotzei Chovah? So says the Gemara, Mevi Sela Shel Chulin, you have to take another Sela, and you're going to say, Ma'ot Masechet Sheni b'chol makom she'en, yu mechulelin al Sela zeh. You have to redeem that Masechet Sheni on another Sela. So you're going to take another coin, and you're going to say, the money of Masechet Sheni, wherever it is in that bag, is going to be redeemed now on this Sela. Okay? Ve'ota sela, not sela, is nitpas Hashem Masechet Sheni. That's going to be the Masechet Sheni. Ve'ashar Masechet, and the rest, everything that's in the bag, is going to be the shekalim. Okay? We finish until the Halacha Gimel.